This is a book review of the Incredible Hulk Epic Collection, Going Grey. John Byrne, Milgrom, Geiger, Buscema, of course, many other people involved as well. And just got to show the list of the people involved. And obviously all the issues that are included. So there's the complete list there. Now this book is volume 14 and it's 1985 to 1987. What does it include? Incredible Hulk 314 all the way through to 330. Annuals of Hulk annuals, of course, 14 to 15 as material from Marvel Fanfare 29. So there must have been some more in the Marvel Fanfare number 29. So you've got this lovely, thick, chunky book, 2020, and I'm just going to quickly go through it. There's some superb art throughout this by John Byrne. Now, sadly, it's not John Byrne all the way through. When I got this, I thought it was going to be John Byrne. Obviously, there's other people as well. But it was one of those things I thought, oh, it's going to be great. However, it does change halfway through-ish through the book. But before that, some really great artwork. And the artwork at the back is pretty decent as well. The stories are excellent throughout. Now, the whole book starts on the premise of a sort of split between Banner and the Hulk. That Banner is actually inside the Hulk. And Doc Samson, actually saying this was a bit sad. This was about the saddest book. There's bits where he's like going through a town, he's smashing places to pieces, lots and lots of violence all the way through. And I must admit, I felt very sorry. I thought, oh, snap. And I looked at it, I thought, oh, I must admit, having the Hulk hitting you like that, I'm certain that virtually everyone's head would be sort of knocked off. So that was a sad scene right from the start. So right into the story. Now you've got Doc Samson. We've got this, and you've got, obviously, Betty comes back. Although I don't know if she's been away, because I must admit, I hadn't read many of the stories before this, not for a long time. My Hulk was really 1960s, 1970s, and then there was quite a big gap. So in terms of 1985, I probably wasn't reading the Hulk around that period, so I didn't know what was happening. I have to admit, that was so Doc Samson has this harebrained idea to split Bruce Banner, who's inside the Hulk, and it's really daft, because what happens, you split them two. Well, what brain is left in the poor old Hulk, since he's got no sort of moral compass, anything? So literally he just goes on this sort of endless rampage, right? Unstoppable creature. Now, of course, you've got separated, and then you've got Bruce Banner going, oh dear, I've got to stop the Hulk, etc. now, all those sort of things, all these sort of issues that maybe Dr. Samson should have thought about before it. I must admit, I still could. A real good character, even if he does some daft things, I must admit. But you've also got a lot of going back to the origins, so you see a little bit. Though, really, and I don't know, maybe there has been stories where they've shown the Bruce Banner well before he became the Hulk. You know, sort of like a little bit more of a background to him. There's not much, personally, that I've seen other than this scene, obviously, where we see him initially, and then we see him throw the poor old Rick into the bunker, and then... So why he wasn't infected at that point, or affected, it would have, there's no way that, being just behind that would have been sufficient to, avoid some of the radiation. Would have had some sort of random sort of bounce back and whatever. He would have been, sort of gamma rays would have passed through him. So anyway, which possibly leads. So you've got the Incredible Hulk obviously bashes there, and they always have that lovely scene there, obviously, where he's being zapped by all the gamma. And obviously it says it would have been killed like thousands of people, but there was something about him that meant, and I don't think that was ever particularly explained. There's no real reason why did he survive and not other people. That's kill 1,000 people instantaneously. Of course, that would have been the case. Now you've obviously got now Doc Samson is nowhere in the same league as obviously the Hulk, and obviously he has to use various other. So you've got here the Juggernaut, Leader, etc. Great opportunity to bring in some of the other characters, the Rhino, Leader, etc. Anyway, he knows after a while it's a hologram. Very effective hologram. But anyway, you've got that storyline. And then into the annual, which was a very unusual annual. Now, this story he's sort of grabbed, and he's involved in an experiment. And you've got the artworks by Sal Buscema. It's an interesting little story. Quite sad as well. I think it's quite sad. So the Hulk is strong. Hulk is the strongest. Of course, he always falls foul of the good old gas. He's like, why hasn't he ever worked out just hold your breath a bit? Though, of course, you probably go into your pause as well. No, maybe not with the Hulk. Maybe it's very strong that he wouldn't go through. However, once that story is done, then we're back onto the John Byrne, because that was before that was a story, different artist. And you got this really quite interesting story where you got Bruce Banner there separated and the Hulk, and you got him sort of further and further and further and further away, which is quite nice. So the Hulk sort of going endlessly towards him to sort of bring him back in again. But it's a complete ridiculous thing now with this story where he's separated. And also you've got shields involved as well. And one of the great things about this also is because, of course, then Doc Samson goes and screws up again. I mean, not only does he do it once, doing a daft idea as far as I can see, completely stupid, but he then does something else that's stupid. But it, of course, gives the story. Otherwise, there would be no story. The book would not have any. Also, but you've got some great appearances by like She-Hulk. Love good old She-Hulk, great character. And, of course, you've got the Avengers there, West Coast, East Coast, every coast, all come in, and they're all, of course, trying to stop the Hulk, who's virtually unstoppable now. Well, he's always been unstoppable, hasn't he, really? But you've got Bruce, he's going through a lot of problems. And, of course, then you've got more battles all the way through. There's a lot of fighting in this, a lot of sort of real heavy duty, and lots of, as it's pointed out in the book a little later, that there's lots of these panels, 4 panels, or even 3 panels. So you've got a lot of real high-impact stuff. And there's actually really one book that's really great, Marvel Fanfare, where he does like literally full page, full page, full page, just brilliant. You've got some great characters here. You've got the Hulk Busters turn up as well. Just got superb artwork. And also there's, of course, a development in the storyline, which I'm not going to spoil. And then you've got this one, Marvel Fanfare, which I think is absolutely superb. He mentions the fact that people say he would like to see more posters or more sort of bigger. So, and there he just goes for a complete book, panel by panel by panel by panel. Just superb. Again, the Avengers turn up again. You've got some really, and you've got Wonder Man there, just sort of really quite fearful for his life at this point. Okay, Wonder Man, we say Wonder Woman, Wonder Man, wrong saying it's Wonder Man. He's always sort of got this self-doubt. He's always sort of kicking in, thinking, oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And virtually he's unstoppable. And he's made of energy. I mean, how is he going to die anyway? But I guess it still doesn't stop him worrying about this thing. But you've got a great story here with the Avengers. And, of course, Hulk's captured again. Now, how many times has the Hulk been captured? In devices. And this is the thing that always baffles me. In things that, this is completely unbreakable. This is completely unbreakable. We've got this thing. We know we've gone through this 1,000 times. This is, sort of some substance or whatever that's completely unbreakable. Yeah. How long does it last? 2 minutes later, he's out again. Really? I mean, they must have done that 500 times. Haven't they worked out what materials are... Let's have 200 layers of the stuff, whatever. Let's put him on the moon or something. But no. I love the Abomination turns up in the story. That's quite good as well. I like the Abomination. And actually, that's done well as well. There's a lot of like separating personalities. There's a lot of that storyline all the way through. So it's really quite nice. And also, even with some of the other characters, and there's a good old electrifying character that turns up. Not going to, because I can never say his name, so I'm not going to say his name. But there's the character that was turned up, obviously, back in the 70s. I assume that he's been turning up since. And probably, I think was he a Marvel monster character back in the early 60s, probably? I don't know. But he's sort of that sort of character. But there's some real, again, very similar sort of things where it's sort of like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, kind of splitting characters, that sort of stuff. I think some really, really good. Also, you've got a lot of these real sort of odd storylines where he ends up on his own. And you've also got the grey Hulk here. So you've got the grey Hulk as well, which I think is really quite nice. They've done some really good stories here. But I must admit, I get to the point where sometimes I do wonder how many times they can run stories about this sort of, why is he doing it? I would love more flashbacks. Maybe they've done that. I don't know. Stories showing like back in the 50s, what was Bruce Banner doing before, obviously between his father and himself and all that sort of stuff. So obviously that's talked about here, but not very much. It's just brief little mentions. I don't know if we particularly, I gather much about that. And Rick Jones is a great character here as well. And there's good scenes, lots of where he fills in sort of the twist in the storyline. Also, I love the another bit that came later in the book, whereas the desert dwellers, that's a real good story as well. I enjoyed that. It was quite an interesting concept. And, I don't know if they turned up ever again, whether the characters sort of just vanished, that was it. But I thought, what a great idea. Real quite nice sort of, and in many ways fits quite again with that monster feel. So with the Hulk, I always felt Hulk #1 back in 60s, 62, that period, obviously was really that end of the sort of monster period. I mean, the Hulk was that sort of character. He was just basically a monster. And I love the fact that they mention, and also there's certain scenes where he gets really massive. And I've always felt that so annoying in comics, where doesn't anyone ever keep him the same size? He's like really small sometimes. You've got some characters, you know how big they are. Like obviously Spider-Man, 6 foot most. At most. He's not 7 foot, he's not 8 foot. And then you've got the Hulk sort of appearing only a little bit bigger than him. And then you've got other scenes where he's fighting like Hercules or someone like that, who you would think was, or Giant Man or something, who he still seems to be comparatively about 12 foot, 13 foot. And there's lots of really massive and sort of, it's just odd and shrinks and bigger and small and something. It depends on the artist, sometimes, isn't it? I don't know if there's a sort of model guide. Look, draw him this size. But he doesn't, but they never do. And then it all finishes off with a really dramatic ending and lots and lots of great, I loved it. Absolutely. I don't want to show it. I've obviously got to show that because it is a good ending. And though I'm not so certain about the villain in it, but anyway, that's a different issue. When I was looking at it, I thought, sort of like felt like one of the X-Men story like that John Byrne did as well. It was just part of me that just suddenly thought, that's sort of, but anyway, it wasn't exactly, but it was just when it started, I thought, wonder. And then you got an interview at the back, which is good. Good old interview. And also you've got a lovely sort of page here where a Marvel Age Annual at the back as well, where it's sort of got a little bit of extra sort of that wasn't included in the original storyline, which is quite nicely done. And then you've got some little bit. I actually like this bit as well. There's also a little Marvel Age. They've got some descriptions of what they were going to do or not in the storyline. And obviously they changed their minds because what they mention is slightly different. So it's where was it? I saw something, I thought, oh, no, that didn't happen. They weren't going to do, no, obviously they changed their mind on that storyline. And I can't see it now. And then you've got an article there at the back. With the Hulk there, obviously Alpha Flight, sort of mentioning about that. And then, obviously, the Hulk and the Thing, he's talking about that as well. Oh, there it was. The first old villain that I planned to bring back is the Metal Master. Now, I don't know if did they do that story? I don't know. I haven't investigated to see whether that was done or not. So, I really think the Metal Master was one of those characters that was a bit let down by issue 6. Now, of course, I know the Metal Master appeared in the Rampaging Hulk, back in the black and white ones. I think there was a Rampaging Hulk Metal Master story. But the Metal Master was a great character. Steve Ditko, I love that issue. I always felt that was a character that was never given the thing. So it was nice that, and there's quite a nice little twist at the end, what he was going to do. Now, unfortunately, that story did not appear in here. It would have been a great story if they had. So you got that, and then you got only one page, the Incredible Hulk 316 inked page. The back, and then you got Hulk Visionaries John Byrne trade paperback, the cover of. And I love these lists of the epic collections. And there's so many now. I mean, look at that, just a long list. And this one on this page, Incredible Hulk. Now, obviously, there's Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, which I hopefully will get very shortly. Then Going Grey, Volume 14. So there's nothing in between. So there's quite a bit of a gap there. Hopefully, they'll come out soon. Look forward to those. I look forward to the next issue, next volume. That'd be nice. Volume 15. Hopefully that'll come out. Then the Ghost of the Past. Now, some of these might be out of print. I don't know. This is the trouble with a lot of these epics. Is if you don't buy them when they come out, And even when they come out, you can't buy them. Sometimes they just seem to disappear from the shops. You think, where did that's? And suddenly you see 150 quid for the price. And you think, didn't even see it. Waste of. However, so hopefully that will be out. I'm looking forward to those. And Ghost of the Future, Fall of Pantheon, and so on and so on. But of course, you've got Iron Man. And then you've got others, of course. You've got like Sergeant Fury. It's weird. They don't have a gap between that one. No ... But Sergeant Fury, The Howling Commandos, Volume 1. Where's Volume 2? Volume 2, Volume 3. I really look forward to those. Submariner, of course, you've got Submariner Volume 1 coming out soon. I'm looking forward to that. And you've got, of course, you still got Doctor Strange Volume 2 missing. I would love to see that epic. Also, Defenders. Still no Volume 1, 2, 3, etc. The earlier ones, which seems baffling. But of course, there's an omnibus coming out fairly soon, so that's quite good. Now, Avengers West Coast. I haven't got any of those. I must buy some of those. I keep looking, thinking, should I buy those? Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. Volume 4 I have got on order, pre-order. So you've got those. Ant-Man, of course, Volume 1 still. Volume 2, come on. There should be a Volume 2 of Ant-Man. And then you've got, of course, some Excalibur and loads of others. There's so many ones that are missing. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is one that's a real obvious one that's missing. Warlock. I would love to see Warlock. Kazar. There's quite a few you think, why are they not out yet as epics? I mean, I don't think they should be completes. I haven't seen them in completes either. Though Captain Marvel does have a complete, but it's the Jim Starlin one. There's the Thanos stuff, that sort of stuff. But also Warlock as well. That's got just the sort of Thanos, sort of the church story. They haven't got the early tales of Warlock. I'd love to see those out in an epic or a complete. I'm happy either way. Just please. However, getting back to this, which of course is what you come to this review for, I think this is an absolutely superb volume. Lots of bits of stories, lots of great battles all the way through it. I think the Avengers stories are great. It's also a great cast as well, some nice twists and turns, lots of big moments in this as well. Some characters, as it says here, featuring the complete classic John Byrne run, status quo smashing setup of the Peter David multi-year epic. And it's great. Absolutely brilliant. You even get the grey Hulk again. I just think and obviously this character here, which I'm not going to spoil to say who he is or she is. I must admit, when I first looked, I assumed it was a woman. I don't know why. There was something, just a hair or something. That says it all, doesn't it? Obviously, like the She-Hulk character. But I just suddenly saw the sort of fight scene on this, and I wasn't really quite going grey. As I haven't been following those stories, I didn't know. So it was a nice twist, a nice turn up for the books in that end bit. I love this. Totally brilliant little stories. So excellent.